Hi there, this is Sean Patrick Fannon, Portalis Publishing, and this is the start of a series of videos that I will be doing to promote my work with the Shadowdark role-playing game, and just in general, kind of expand out into my feelings and thoughts and theories regarding gaming, uh, as in role-playing, and uh, what I think the experience uh, can be like, and I'm not going to say what it should be like, but it's my hope that folks would want to embrace some of the really cool, immersive ideas about role playing, and quite frankly, the idea of being heroes. But I'll get into that in another video. I want to first say Shadowdark is a absolutely fascinating game that uh, well, this is what I wrote about it. Shadowdark by Arcane Library is a beautiful, streamlined callback to the original days of gaming. What sets this award winning entry into what is commonly called the OSR, Old School Revolution, what sets it apart is both its charming, easy access simplicity, sit down and play within 5 minutes, and the interesting innovations its creator, Kelsey Dion, brought into play, including a constant round the table approach to table management and a real time aspect to how light works in dungeons. So, the core book is actually gorgeous. I have it, and it's just phenomenal. The art definitely puts forward a sort of dark fantasy or grim swords and sorceries kind of thing. But the truth is, this game rocks any genre of fantasy you want. And as you'll find out if you really delve in, people have been actually adapting the system to just about anything else you can think of. Callbacks to other favorites like Gamma World and Traveler and things like that, but also just original stuff. I even seen a Vigilantes line where someone decided to do a low-level superhero game with the rules. You would think that almost says, okay, this is like some sort of neo-universal system, so it's going to have all those complexities. No, absolutely not. Shadowdark is amazingly easy to teach. It's, as I've been fond of saying to my friends who I've known a long time and gamed with, this is kind of like what we remember as being the really fun parts of Dungeons and Dragons without all the baggage that goes with going back to that and going, oh, this is why we started playing other games. It goes all the way back around, and I'm just going to say, I've not been involved in the OSR. I've been very much involved in pushing innovative new game systems. And of course, many of you may know I've written for many of them over the years and helped design one recently called Prowlers and Paragons Ultimate Edition. I have to say, this game convinced me to go back to, frankly, the fun and joy of just crawling in dungeons and killing monsters, being heroic, getting treasure, leveling up, uh, and then moving on and finding new adventures. Meanwhile, interacting with the world that's around me, as well as the other characters, and having all of those classic, lovely experiences uh, without all the extra stuff. This is not to say that it's wrong for you to enjoy Dungeons and Dragons, whatever edition, or any other game. In fact, not by a long shot. All I'm saying is, if someone wants to learn how to play that Dungeons and Dragons game, they should actually start with this. Someone should teach them using this. It's the same basic D20 game with strength, dex, con, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma, with the same bonuses that apply in those rules, and all of the basics, armor class, hit points. But it's just so much easier, and it hits that sweet spot. You get cool variable aspects for each of the character types. They use classes, but they use ancestries. You get to roll talents that give you some unique abilities, but not overly complicated. And the actual just straight up mechanics are very straightforward. They amalgamate all of those condition situations and everything else into a very simple. This is the condition. The GM, gets to say for sure what it means, but it probably means what you think it means, like stupefy. If you're stupefied for the next round, you can't do anything. There it is. And there's no, uh, you know, attacks of opportunity or any over tactical stuff. There's no flanking or anything like that. It's just straight up take your turn, do something cool with a spell or a sword or whatever, and go on. And it assumes a certain level of just general expertise based on your backgrounds and your class. So thieves, for example, they're the perfect example of this. They are experts at thievery. Does it have anything to do with thievery? Yes. Therefore, they get an advantage. And they use the advantage and disadvantage rules very liberally. They pretty much replace all the other extra rules you find in other D20 games, including Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder. If you're supposed to be good at it, you get to roll with advantage. If you're really supposed to suck at it, it may make you roll with disadvantage. It's that simple. So lock picking, trap finding. Oh, and by the way, trap finding. Yeah, it's pretty much assumed you will find the trap. What comes down to is how long is it going to take you, and therefore how likely is something going to come along and start a fight with you before you get done, as opposed to you just automatically fail and you have to eat the trap damage. Uh, no, like I said, assumed expertise, which is something I've always been a fan of. And there's a big push to you for everything, whether you're crawling through the dungeon, whether you're in combat, whether you're moving around in the city, the GM has to keep in mind to go around the table constantly, making sure everyone is engaged and gets a chance to do something or say something or involve themselves. So it's just a brilliant game. And by the way, you can get the starter levels 1 through 3. The booklets are really cheap, and you can get them from arcanelibrary.com. You can get the PDFs for free on DriveThruRPG, and I highly recommend you grab at least the free PDFs of the Player's Guide and the Game Master's Guide, because that will give you the full picture of the game and how cool it is. Like I said, I'm a fan. I'm totally sold on it. Now, uh, I of course am well known for creating stuff for other games. I've never really fully designed a game from the ground up myself. I end up getting involved with the game, and I design lots of extra cool stuff with it. And the cool thing about Shadowdark is the third-party license is just amazing. They're very, very cool about what you can use from the core book. Uh, they don't have a big monitoring thing at all. They kind of trust creators to not do anything awful with the rules or with the logo or anything like that. And so I've reignited my creative career writing stuff for uh, Shadowdark. I'm doing it under my Portalis publishing uh, line, and it's all under something called the Ironhaven Chronicles. That is something, again, I'll be talking about more in future videos. But the Ironhaven Chronicles is my line of cool Shadowdark stuff. Now, I just want to say, I think if you have friends that want to learn more about gaming, but they're not comfortable with all of the rules involved with Dungeons and Dragons or anything else, this is the game. And I've known plenty of game masters for whom they're like, yeah, I've got friends who wanted to learn how to play Dungeons and Dragons. I use this instead. because it's just that much more straightforward. Then, later on, you can layer in the rest of the rules if you really want to with, just transferring over to D&D. But I'm not. I'm really enjoying this. My friends and fans are enjoying playing these games with me. I'm about to start running online, so reach out if you're interested. I also run here locally in the Pittsburgh area, and I'm just really excited about it. And I'm looking forward to sharing more of the Iron Haven Chronicles with you in coming videos and with the products that I'm releasing. Just released today something called Hero Freeholds. Again, we'll talk about that more later. So, thanks, and I hope you've enjoyed learning more about this game. Feel free to reach out and ask me any questions you like, and I'll talk to you again soon.